Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. I'm going to make a birthday card for a friend's mother. She's 95, and I thought I would use these sweet peas. They're inspired by stamping, and they're a flower of the month, sweet pea. And in the inside, I have stamped from the same set, happy birthday. I didn't think you'd need to see me do that, but if you wanted to see me do it, I would do it for you. Anyway, I used my Onyx Black, VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I used a clear Ranger embossing powder, heat set it on, this is Canson XL cold press watercolor paper, and I'm going to be using these Stabilo markers, and I'm going to use them like I would a watercolor pen or watercolor brush, watercolor something. What I'm going to do is, as I color them, I'm going to liquefy them and move the color around. That's my plan. But in the meantime, what I thought I would do is get some colors out that I thought would go well with the coloring scheme. I'm going to use pinks and lighter pinks and darker pinks, but all in that same family. And then maybe a little bit of yellow in case I need some. And then a little bit of, I hope I'm in the picture with this, then a little bit of a beigey color for in my leaves. You know, I like to have a little of that in the leaves. And there's a darker green. I might take that too, and hopefully those will be enough. And if we need any more, we can always go back and get them. But in the meantime, that's what we're going to shoot for. Now, I've done this on camera before where I've colored these and then done the liquefy them, but I wanted to make sure that you saw me do it again, and that this time I think I might actually use water with them with a brush. So I'm going to be using this very small Royal and Langnickel. It's a round number 3. So I'm going to use that, and hopefully that will work for it. And I have my little water bucket right here, so we're rolling. I think I'm going to start out with the centers, and I'm going to make them a lighter pink and then kind of go darker as I go on the outside. I'm going to probably go around the outside with this, and then I'm going to add in some of that lighter color that we just used, so that you have a combination of colors and they will blend better, I think. So this is the color I'm using, and this is the color I just used. So I'm going to kind of put them both together like this, and then blend them out with the water. The darker color doesn't blend as much as the lighter color does, that's for sure. So I'll have to be careful about that going forward. This area is dry, so I can go back in and add a little more color to that. I think it was this one. I want to just a little bit more in here. Now for the outer section, I'm going to use the 2 darkest colors, and I'm not going to do as much when I do this because these are very hard to blend. So I'm just going to do little teeny tiny sections with these so that I can get as much color blended. I'm not putting the lids back on them either, so that I can blend these little sections and do a good job of getting the color really pulled around. And then I'll go to the other side I don't want to do anything that's right beside that because it'll still be wet. So let's go to the other side and just go in and do about the same amount. We don't want to do a ton of it. And while this part is being liquefied, then this hopefully will be drying. When you have these bright lights on things, it really does speed up the drying process. Let's see if I I'm going to make this one more in this orange color if I can. Okay, we're going to finish up our leaves and do mainly lighter tones in our leaves up here so that there's a big difference between these and the ones we've just done. Okay. So what I thought I would do next is something that you normally don't do with markers, but I'm going to do it with these because they're a lot of fun to play with and it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of my plastic cases so that you can see the color on there, and I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to scribble it on. Hopefully you can see this. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you the colors I'm using. I think it is, this one is number 17. This one is number 29. This one is number 56, 53, 33. The dark green is 63. 89, and then the peachy color is 26. So those are the colors I've used so far, and then the color I'm going to be using next is 31, and that's already on my plastic CD case. And I'm going to really make sure my brush is wet when I do this, because what we're trying to do is liquefy this, but we also want to make sure that it's not a really powerful blue that I'm putting on here. And I'm going to just go in and color my background with this nice really wet blue. That way it won't be too dark. need more, I can always scribble more on there and just do what I did before. Just scribble it on my case, and then you just wet it down. And make sure again that you really wet it, because you don't want a fluorescent blue background. That's not our goal. Our goal is just to have a nice muted blue background, like there is a sky behind this. Our goal isn't to have fluorescent background. Okay, so that's where we stand with our background. So I'm going to get this natural sponge and dip it in my water that's in my my bowl for my brushes, and I'm just going to kind of go around my outside of my picture. I'm going to lift up some of the coloring, and it's going to make it look almost like there is some sky or something that's changing the color around it. I just think it looks a little bit cool when it has that kind of mottled look to it. So we're going to do a little bit more of that. And there. And what I did to get this darker, this almost purpley color, is I used that same blue on the background and I just dripped it in onto my sweet peas and made it dark. Now I know that sweet peas are normally very pastel-y, but I like the idea of making them more of a brighter, more vivid flower. So I used my artistic license and just made it my own. So I think what I'm going to do now is make my corners rounded, and I'm going to round my corners on my card as well. And the way you do that is if you have a corner rounder. This is from Creative Memories. Okay, so I made my card going up and down like that. So I'm going to put my, oh look, I got a fingerprint on it. Well, isn't that fun? I'm going to make my sweet peas up and down. So now what I need to do is figure out a way to fix my little boo-boo I just made. Oh, I got another one right there. How lucky. Oh, it's just some kind of chalky stuff. Well, that's lucky, isn't it? How fabulous. Okay, so there's our card. I think what I'm going to do, though, is I was thinking about how I could make this look a little bit prettier. So I thought I would get some of this Diamond Glaze from Judikins. It's going to leave a very shiny top coat that's going to be very glistening, and I'm just going to make sure it only is on my flowers. I don't want it anywhere but my flowers, because when I'm done with this, I'm hoping that my flowers will be really beautiful and shiny and have a 3D look to them, which is what this should do. If you get any bubbles, you have to get those bubbles out, or you will end up with permanent bubbles in this. So get a pin, or maybe well, I can't think of anything besides a pin at the moment. Now's the time to get rid of them, though. You don't want to wait. I think I'm going to use a pokey tool. There's another idea of something you could use. Your pokey tool. So I'm going to get rid of my little bubbles. There's a bubble. And if you have a fine tip applicator, you can do these little stems. I do have a fine tip applicator, but it's for a different one of these. It's for, I think, Crystal Effects. Alright, so we'll let that dry and we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like once it's dry. So my plan here is then to make sure that my banner goes across the top. So if you don't have any sentiments, don't worry about it. If you have the creativity to come up with one of your own, that's all you need. And then all you're going to do is put some of this horrible, really sticky tape runner from Elmer's on the back of it. And then I'm just going to center it the way I want it. I think right there ought to do it. And I'm just going to press it down. And then all I have to do is cut off the edges. It's always easier to cut off your edges from the back than it is from the front. I'm sure you know that. Or if you don't, you've learned from my lessons, because you know I always do things the wrong way. Okay, I also put additional tear tape on the back of this because I wanted to make sure it was even, because when I put that Crystal Effects on the back, Diamond Glaze is what I use, but when I put that on the back, I ended up having a little problem with my my front image being uneven, and that wasn't the way I wanted to go, so then I had to rip it all off the card. Yeah, that's what you wanted to do, is rip it off the card. It was my goal to do for this card. I said, let's see if I could rip that right off there. Long story short, that's why the back looks like someone attacked it with wolves, and I want to make sure that I have enough tear tape on the back to keep it all laid down, because between those two rows of foam tape, we have what I'll call leftover foam tape from before, and I definitely don't want to worry about that again. I'm going to make sure my ribbon is still on. I'm going to have to put something behind it to keep it there, and you'll get to see how hacked up my card base is. Nice, isn't it? Pretty? No one will see that. Remember that too. No one will see the scary mess I just made out of this. And then I'm just going to put that down. I'm also going to take my ribbon, and I'm going to put a little bit of tear tape on the back of this. If you ever have your ribbon get loose, like this is kind of like wobbly loose, all you have to do is you take a little bit of any kind of adhesive, really, but I'm going to use this leftover tear tape that I just played with. I'm going to take it off of its backing, which will be the mistake that that you can't come back from, and I'm just going to take a little piece of it like this, make it smaller, and then I'm going to kind of lift up that part of the card. I'm going to put it under there, but then I'm going to pull, you're going to pull your ribbon and kind of double it under there. Right, get the tear tape on the back first, if I can do that. You know how that goes. And then take your scissors and your ribbon. You're going to push your ribbon. You see how I have that little gap of ribbon? Push it under and attach it to that tape that you just put down, and that should hold it in place just fine. But then if you want to have the ribbon on the front not be wobbly at all, you just lay some tear tape underneath it like that, and then you're just going to make sure that your ribbon is flat and straight. Whoops. Not like I do. Don't do like I say. Do like I do. No, whatever you say. The opposite. Do like I say, not like I do. There's that. And then I have to lay a little bit more of this ribbon underneath. I have to put a little bit more tear tape under there. And then I'm going to cut my little ends off so I don't have a bunch of... See, I almost cut my card again. These are the things you'll worry about with me. So here is the finished card. Again, it's for a 95-year-old woman, so I wanted it to be just kind of like something simple and sweet that would be something a 95-year-old woman would really appreciate. But all in all, I think the card came out cute, and there is its envelope. And I hope you enjoyed this and that you'll give it a thumbs up and tell your friends about me on social media, because I really appreciate that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.